Welcome to this explosive breakdown of one of the most shocking moments in British daytime television history. Imagine this. The studio lights of ITV's Loose Women are blazing bright, the audience is buzzing with anticipation, and in walks the one and only Rowan Atkinson, the man behind the eternal charm of Mr. Bean, ready to chat about his latest projects and perhaps share a laugh or two. But what starts as a light-hearted segment spirals into chaos faster than you can say. Canceling culture. Hosted by the no-nonsense Kaye Adams, the panel is in full swing. Denise Welch throwing in her signature fiery opinions, calling Nolan cracking wise, and Brenda Edwards keeping it real. Rowan, ever the gentleman with a dry wit, is there to promote his new eco-conscious comedy special. But things take a turn when the conversation veers into the treacherous waters of political correctness and comedy's boundaries. Kaye, known for her probing questions, leans in with a smile that's equal parts curiosity and confrontation, asking Rowan point-blank if his brand of physical humor isn't a tad outdated in today's sensitive climate. The audience chuckles nervously, but Rowan's eyes narrow just a fraction at that subtle Atkinson tell that something's brewing beneath the surface. He responds with a measured quip, defending the timeless appeal of slapstick as a universal language that doesn't need trigger warnings. But Kaye isn't letting it go. She presses harder, citing recent backlash against comedians who dare to poke fun at sacred cows, and suddenly, the table feels like a powder keg with a lit fuse. Denise jumps in, aligning with Kaye, arguing that comedy evolves and old tropes can harm marginalized voices, her voice rising with that passionate edge she's famous for. Rowan, not one to back down from a debate, counters with a passionate monologue on free speech, his usually reserved demeanor cracking as he gestures emphatically, his face flushing under the hot lights. The audience is split as some applaud his stand, others gasp at the intensity, and just like that, what was meant to be a 10-minute guest spot stretches into a full-blown ideological showdown. Kaye tries to steer things back, but Rowan's retort about sanctimonious gatekeepers stifling creativity lands like a slap, and the studio erupts in murmurs. Producers in the control booth are scrambling, whispers of cut to commercial flying, but the cameras keep rolling, capturing every 10-second. This isn't just a clash, it's a microcosm of the culture wars raging across entertainment, where legends like Rowan find themselves under siege from the ever-watchful eyes of progressivism. As the argument heats up, Rowan's voice, usually so controlled, rises in volume, echoing off the studio walls, and Kaye's rebuttal about accountability cuts deep, her Scottish lilt sharpening like a blade. The panelists are frozen, caught between loyalty to their host and admiration for the guest, while viewers at home are glued to their screens, phones already lighting up social media with hashtags like #Rowan vs Loose Women. In those electric moments, the air thickens with unspoken stake as a career's on the line, reputations at risk, and no one knows if this will end in applause or an abrupt fade to black. But hold on, because what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about live TV decorum. The tension builds like a storm cloud, Rowan's trademark awkward charm morphing into unfiltered frustration, and Kaye's persistence turning from journalistic to personal. Denise tries to mediate, but her own biases shine through, escalating the fray, and suddenly, a producer's voice crackles over the earpiece, urgent and unseen. This is the spark that ignites the inferno, the moment Loose Women goes from chat show to controversy central, and Rowan Atkinson, the king of comedy, becomes an unlikely warrior in the battle for artistic freedom. As the clock ticks down, every word weighs heavier, every glance sharper, setting the stage for the dramatic ejection that's about to unfold. And trust me, when it does, the fallout will shake the foundations of daytime TV forever. Diving deeper into the heart of the melee, let's rewind just a touch to unpack how this powder keg was primed long before Rowan even set foot in the studio. Loose Women has always been a breeding ground for unfiltered opinions, a platform where women of all stripes air their truths on everything from menopause to politics. But today, with a guest like Rowan timid in public, ferocious in defense of his craft, it was bound to collide with the show's progressive bent. Kaye Adams, the anchor with over 2 decades under her belt, starts innocently enough, praising Rowan's legacy while slipping in that loaded question about whether Mr. Bean's mute mishaps might inadvertently mock disabilities in a post-Me Too era. The audience leans in, expecting a diplomatic dodge, but Rowan, fresh off a string of sold-out theater runs where he's railed against censorship in interviews, sees red. He launches into a defense that's pure poetry, comparing comedy to a pressure valve for society's ills, insisting that laughter heals more wounds than it inflicts. But Kaye, ever the devil's advocate, counters with examples from recent scandals, like that comedian axed for a decade-old joke, her tone implying Rowan's silence on such issues makes him complicit. The panel erupts. Colleen Nolan laughs it off at first, trying to lighten the mood with a Bean-inspired gag, but Denise Welch, drawing from her own battles with tabloid scrutiny, piles on, declaring that comedy isn't a free-for-all anymore. Words have consequences. Rowan's jaw tightens, his response a scalpel-sharp dissection of cancel culture's hypocrisy, how elites preach inclusion while silencing dissent, and the studio temperature skyrockets. Viewers at home are divided. Twitter is ablaze with supporters hailing Rowan as a free speech hero, while critics brand him a dinosaur resisting change. Back in the studio, the argument veers personal when Kaye references Rowan's reclusive nature, suggesting it's a shield from accountability, and that's the match that lights the fuse. Rowan's voice booms, "I've spent my life making people laugh without harming us, so don't lecture me on harm from the safety of your panel." The audience gasps, applause mingling with boos, and the producer's panic buttons are primed. This isn't banter, it's a seismic shift, exposing the raw underbelly of a show built on bold talk but rarely tested by such intellectual firepower. As the crossfire intensifies, Rowan's eloquence clashes with Kaye's tenacity, each point a parry in a verbal fencing match that's as riveting as it is uncomfortable. The other panelists shift uneasily, Brenda nodding in quiet agreement with Rowan, Judy Love attempting a joke that falls flat amid the tension. Commercials loom, but no one cuts away. This is gold for ratings, a viral moment in the making. Yet beneath the spectacle lies a deeper narrative, Rowan's fight for comedy's soul against the tide of moral policing, Kaye's role as truth-seeker turned antagonist, and the fragile ecosystem of live TV where one wrong word can topple empires. The air crackles with electricity, every heartbeat amplified, as the debate reaches fever pitch, words flying like shrapnel, and just when it seems the dam might hold, a single phrase from Rowan, "This is why audiences are fleeing your echo chamber," sends Kaye reeling, her face a mask of controlled fury. The producer's intervention is imminent, the ejection inevitable, but the build-up is a masterclass in dramatic tension, leaving us all on the edge of our seats, wondering if civility can survive the storm. This clash isn't just entertainment, it's a referendum on where humor draws the line, and as the minutes drag on, the stakes feel existential. Now, let's zoom in on the crescendo, that blistering 37 seconds that redefined the episode and catapulted this into tabloid legend. The argument has been simmering for a good 5 minutes, the audience's energy a palpable force, when Kaye delivers her coup de grace sensus. Rowan, with great talent comes great responsibility. Your silence on these issues speaks volumes. It's a zinger wrapped in velvet, but to Rowan, it's the final straw in a career spent dodging the spotlight only to be dragged into it. His face, that master of elastic expressions, contorts not in Bean-esque exaggeration, but in genuine, unscripted ire. He leans forward, voice steady at first but building like a crescendo. In one of his Blackadder monologues, "Silence, I've roared against this nonsense for years, but you lot in your ivory towers wouldn't hear it over your own virtue signaling." The studio inhales collectively. Denise Welch's eyes widen, her retort forming a "That's rich coming from a man who hides behind characters." But Rowan barrels on, his words tumbling out in a torrent of frustration. He's not shouting yet, but the volume climbs, veins pulsing in his neck, as he eviscerates the panel's worldview. Comedy is chaos, not conformity. You strip it of risk, and you strip it of joy. Kaye interjects, her brogue cutting through. Risk without regard is recklessness. Rowan, think of the vulnerable. And that's when it snaps. Rowan's bomb slams the table, not hard, but enough to echo like thunder. His face crimson under the lights, bellowing, "Vulnerable? We're all vulnerable to your witch hunts." The audience erupts, A cacophony of cheers and jeers. Phones out recording every second. Colleen tries to intervene with a "whoa, let's all take a breath," but it's futile. The die is cast. In the control room, Hearts Racia ratings are spiking, but so is the risk of backlash. The producer's voice, calm but firm, feeds into Kaye's earpiece. "Wrap it now." But Rowan, sensing the trap, doubles down, his next line a dagger. This is why real talent flees shows like these. Are too busy policing punchlines to punch up. Kaye's composure cracks, her reply sharp: "Then perhaps it's time you left, Rowana," and the words hang, a challenge unmet. The panel freezes, the air thick as fog, and suddenly, security's silhouette appears stage left, a subtle but unmistakable signal. This 37-second fury isn't just rage, it's Rowan's manifesto, distilled and detonated, a plea for comedies and Boathead amid the guillotine of public opinion. Viewers witness a man unmasked, his intellect as formidable as his humor, clashing against the machinery of modern media. As the chaos speaks, with Denise half standing in protest and Brenda murmuring prayers under her breath, the producer makes the call: "No more delays." This microburst of conflict captures the essence of the divide, old guard versus new wave, laughter versus lectures, and in its wake, the studio falls eerily silent, save for the frantic scribbling of producers plotting damage control. But the damage is done. Clips are already circulating, memes birthing by the minute, and the internet fractures into camps. So #Team Rowan versus #Loose Women outrage. It's a pivotal beat, the hinge on which the entire scandal swings, transforming a routine appearance into a cultural touchstone. And as the echoes fade, we see the human cost. Rowan's shoulders slump, Kaye's eyes betray a flicker of regret, and the audience, once merry, now mirrors the unease. This is television at its rawest, unfiltered and unforgiving, a reminder that behind every screen lies a battlefield of beliefs. The ejection looms, but this explosion ensures immortality for all involved. With the studio still reverberating from Rowan's thunderous stand, the inexorable march toward ejection begins, a sequence as choreographed as any sitcom yet laced with real peril. The producer's directive cuts through the haze like a lifeline. Kaye, end segment. Security on standby. Kaye, regaining her anchor poise with the skill of a seasoned pro, forces a smile that's more grimace than grin, her voice steady as she pivots. "Well, Rowan, you've certainly given us food for thought. Thank you for joining us." But the damage is etched in every line of her face. The audience's applause, polite but thunderous in its awkwardness. Rowan, chest heaving from the verbal marathon, nods curtly, his pleasure, or something like it, dripping with sarcasm that elicits scattered laughs and gasps. As he rises, intending to exit stage right with dignity intact, Denise Welch can't resist one last volley. "Don't let the door hit you on the way out unless it's a punchline." It's meant as a zinger, but it lands flat, the tension too thick for levity. Security. Two burly chaps in ill-fitting blazers materialize from the wings, not roughly, but with purposeful strides, one murmuring into a discreet mic while the other gestures toward the green room door. Rowan pauses, turning back to the camera with that piercing gaze, delivering an impromptu coda: "Remember, folks, laugh before they legislate it away." The line zings, the audience erupts in genuine cheers this time, and for a split second, he's recaptured the room's heart. But Kaye, signaling the floor manager, intones the kill switch, and we'll be right back after these. Stay with us. Cut to ad break, but not before the cameras linger on Rowan's retreating figure, shoulders squared, head high, as security escorts him with the subtle firmness of bouncers at a velvet rope. Backstage, the frenzy awaits, assistants fluttering like moths, PR reps on speed dial, and Rowan's team already drafting statements. The panel exhales collectively, a Colleen fanning herself dramatically. "Blimey, that was hotter than my last divorce." A drawing nervous titters that break the ice. But beneath the banter, unease simmers. This isn't scripted drama, it's a live-wire liability, with ITV execs no doubt pacing boardrooms, weighing the PR apocalypse. Social media, meanwhile, is a wildfire. Rowan Atkinson trends globally, clips dissected frame by frame, supporters lionizing him as comedy's Churchill, Detractors decrying his outburst as privilege unchecked. Kaye's post-segment huddle with producers is tersy affirmations of support mingled with cautions about optics. A wild Denise vents to her phone, live tweeting her side in real time. For Rowan, the walk-off set is a gauntlet of flashing bulbs from embedded press, questions hurled like confetti. Rowan, thoughts on cancel culture? He waves them off with a bin-like shrug, but his eyes burn with unresolved fire. This ejection isn't brute force, it's a velvet-gloved shove, TV's way of preserving face while pruning thorns. Yet it humanizes Rowan, stripping the enigma to reveal a passionate soul, and indicts loose women as a arena where candor collides with caution. As the ads roll, viewers speculate wildly. Will he sue? Apologize? The break feels eternal, a limbo where alliances shift and narratives form. Back on set, the panel regroups, Kaye cracking a self-deprecating joke about surviving the bin storm, but the levity rings hollow. This moment cements the scandal's lore, not the slap of hands, but the sting of severance, a polite parting that screams volumes. In the annals of talk show tantrums, this ranks with the greats, a raw, revelatory, and ripe for endless replay. The curtain falls on the clash, but the echoes, they'll reverberate for weeks. As the dust settles in the immediate aftermath, the airwaves and internet explode into a maelstrom of reactions that propel this incident from blip to blockbuster. Within minutes of the ad break, Zap, formerly Twitter, lights up like a Christmas tree gone rogue, with #Rowan kicked off. Loose women surging to the top trends, amassing millions of impressions. Fans of the reclusive star flood the platform with gifs of Mr. Bean flipping tables, captions hailing him as the hero we need, while clips of his table slamming retort go mega viral, racking up shares faster than a cat video. Celebrities weigh in. Ricky Gervais tweets a winking about time someone said I did. Bravo, Rowan. Sparking a thread war, while Dawn French counters with a nuanced take on comedy's evolution, urging grace on all sides. Over on Loose Women's official feed, a hasty post, a lively debate today. What do you think? Ignites a comment section that's a battlefield, with supporters praising Kaye's toughness and detractors accusing the show of ambush journalism. ITV's switchboards melt under Kalsa, half outraged, half ecstatic while viewing figures spike 40%, proving controversy is catnip for daytime demos. Print media pounces. The sunsplash has been countered, with pap shots of Rowan fleeing the studio, his face a storm cloud, and The Guardian pens a think piece on the day comedy fought back, dissecting Rowan's words as a clarion call against performative allyship. Kaye, ever resilient, trends separately with #StandWithKaye, her allies lauding her as a feminist firebrand unafraid to challenge icons, though whispers of bullying the guest circulate in darker corners. Denise Welch, the Sparks co-conspirator, goes live on Instagram, her feed a frenzy of unfiltered fury. He came for our throats, a good riddance. Drawing diehards but alienating neutrals. Rowan's camp, silent at first, drops a statement via his agent. Mr. Atkinson stands by his defense of artistic freedom and regrets only the medium's constraints. It's measured, masterful, fueling speculation of a memoir or Netflix special born from the ashes. Broader ripples hit the industry. Agents field panicked calls from clients wary of Loose Women invites, while comedy clubs report a surge in bookings for uncensored nights. Public figures chime in. A Labour MP praises the debate's vigor. A Tory peer decries woke overreach, turning it political fodder. Fan forums dissect every frame, from Rowan's micro-expressions to Kaye's earpiece flinch, birthing conspiracy theories about scripted drama for ratings. Advertisers hedge bets. One skincare brand pausing Loose Women spots amid the melee, while Rowan's eco-docuseries sees pre-orders jump 25%. The panel reconvenes post-break with forced jollity. Judy loves impressions easing the edgy, but the elephant looms large. Kaye's closing monologue, a tightrope walk of reflection without retraction. Viewers, empowered by pause and rewind, form juries online, polls swinging wildly. 62% side with Rowan in one Snap survey, but Kaye's loyalists mobilize, flipping it by evening. This backlash bonanza isn't mere noise, it's a societal seismograph, registering fault lines between boomers and zoomers, tradition and transformation. Memes multiply. As Gladiator, Kaye as Inquisitor. While podcasts drop emergency eps, from comedy vets to culture critics, each angle a lens on the zeitgeist. ITV brass, thrilled yet terrified, green lights a follow-up segment, but for now, the narrative owns the night, dominating news cycles from BBC to TMZ. In this cacophony, truths emerge. Rowan's ejection galvanized his mythos, Kaye's mettle shone through scrutiny, and Loose Women, it's more relevant than ever, a lightning rod for our divided times. The fallout forges futures, hinting at reckonings yet to come. Peering into the horizon, the long-term tremors of Rowan's Loose Women ousting promise to reshape comedy, media, and maybe even our collective funny bone in ways we're only beginning to fathom. In the weeks following, Rowan retreats to his Oxfordshire haven, but emerges phoenix-like with a sold-out stand-up tour dubbed Uncanned Laughter, where he weaves the incident into a 20-minute bit that's equal parts catharsis and critique, drawing crowds that shatter records and critics who dub it his fiercest hour. Ticket sales fund a free speech charity he quietly launches, positioning him as an elder statesman for satirists under siege, his influence swelling among younger comics who cite The Clash as their wake-up call. Loose Women, far from crumbling, rebounds with a comedy and controversy arc, inviting Gervais, Sarah Silverman, and others for roundtables that boost ratings to season highs. Kaye at the helm with renewed gravitas. Her book deal on Tough Talks climbs bestseller lists, transforming scandal into savvy. Denise Welch's memoir sequel cashes in, chapters on the bin brawl fueling her tell-all tour, while the panel as a whole gains street cred, shedding fluffy chat tags for Fearless Forum. ITV reaps the whirlwind, ad revenue soars, spawning spin-off pods and docs, but execs implement guest prep protocols to avert repeats, a double-edged sword that sparks whispers of censorship. Culturally, the event ignites debates in academia. Symposia on humor's hazard zone at Oxbridge, papers pondering if Rowan's roar accelerated anti-woke backlash or merely amplified it. Social media evolves too, new hashtags like #LaughFree spawn movements, with user-generated content blending Bin's antics with protest art, while algorithms tweak to favor balanced banter, curbing echo chambers. Rowan's eco project, ironically, benefits Mosto streams skyrocket as fans discover his serious side, donations pouring into green causes, proving outrage can yield olive branches. Kaye, post-Clash, lands a BBC podcast gig, her no-shout style vindicated in listener love, bridging divides with empathy-infused interviews that humanize the fray. Denise finds unlikely allies in comedy circuits, her passion play earning respect from skeptics, while Colleen Nolan's memoir excerpt on the tension tea goes viral, her humor the great unifier. Broader ripples touch policy. UK free expression bills cite the incident, politicians from all sides invoking Rowan as Exhibit A, turning TV tiff into legislative lore. For viewers, it's a mirror. Surveys show heightened media literacy, folks questioning narratives more shrewdly, laughing harder at the absurdities exposed. Yet shadows linger, a few careers wobble, lesser lights caught in crossfire, reminding us fame's fragility. Ultimately, this kicked off kerfuffle isn't an end but an evolution, challenging comedy to confront its conscience without losing its core. Rowan Atkinson, once the quiet king, reigns louder. Kaye Adams, the steadfast sentinel, stands taller. And Loose Women, it endures as democracy's drawing room, messy, vital, unapologetic. In the grand tapestry of telly tales, this thread weaves boldly, proving that when icons clash, the sparks don't just illuminate, they forge new paths. So here's to the heat, the heart, the hilarity. May we all learn to laugh through the storm, lest we lose the joke altogether. What a ride it's been, and what worlds it opens. So what's your take? Drop it in the comments, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more unmissable unboxings of pop culture pandemonium.